being joined tonight. This is Teams, right?
Teams, yes.
I tell people telephonically in Teams, so I'd ask all those who are joining by Teams or telephonically to mute your devices when you're not speaking, and when you do speak, to please state your name for clarity of the record. Move on to the public comment period. Are there any members of the public on this evening that would like to speak? Anyone shows up later, we can all reopen agenda item 2. Agenda item 3 is approval of the minutes of the March 26, 2024 meeting, which is in your board package. Once I had a chance to look at that, I'll entertain a motion to approve. Thanks, Bill. Second. Thank you, Michael. A second by Michael. Are there any questions or comments on the minutes?
There's an extra comment after Eric could throw it to me, but.
Want you to pause and reflect on Eric after you read that.
I will.
All right, if we're going to talk about punctuation or things like that, I'll say that Commissioner Peel's name is spelled P-E-I-L. However, the way it's pronounced, it's not pronounced correctly, so I don't blame anybody that spells it incorrectly. All right. With no other comments or questions, I'll all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Are there any abstentions? All right, the motion carries and then the minutes are approved. All right, move on to information updates. We have 3 as usual, typically. Oh, yeah, 3, we have 2 typically. So we have the financial update. Are there any questions or comments on the financial update? Okay. We have the leadership team template. Are there any questions or comments on the leadership team template?
I just had, maybe Larry can fill me in on the method of the process you're using to line the pipes on North Main Street.
Oh, yeah, it's just a cast in place pipe. It's a felt liner to PVC inner, and the resin gets heated up and it turns into a brand new pipe inside.
That works well.
Really well. Really nice technology.
I never heard of it, so thank you.
Yes. And when we do it next time, Bill, if you'd like to come down and look, we'd be happy to invite you down. It's a really simple process.
So you don't actually take the pipe out, you just line the existing.
Yeah, it gets inverted through one manhole out through the other manhole. And it gets heated either with, you can use steam, UV lights. And when it's hard, they have a little robot, and you can see the protrusion from the laterals, and the robot cuts out little holes in the laterals and back into the pump. It's 50 to 75 years ago. Oh,
And no effect on traffic.
no effect on traffic. And aluminum.
Wow, that's even better. Thank you.
All righty. Are there any other questions on the leadership team template? Comments? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the strategic plan update, which was provided in your board package. Updates on where people are at. Strategic plan, are there any questions or comments on the strategic plan update?
I was just chatting with Chris before the meeting, but we are going to do a full update of it at some point in the relatively near future, I think.
Plan is to start that in the fall.
Yeah.
For 2025.
This may have been in there somewhere, but the Sachem Street Bridge going over Sherman Street, that project, are we done with the utilities?
Utilities are done. I think it's going to open up to the public in the late summer, early fall. That's what I heard of as late as last week.
But our part is done.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about this, but are we going to have any interruption or problem or whatever if they just talk about them interrupting Acabando Avenue so that it would become a dead end street on both sides of the food place?
US.
I don't know how much of that's public and not. Our discussions with them.
Yes.
Potentially.
I mean, is that going to have a utilities impact or not?
No, it's more of a response from fire departments and interruptions to local traffic.
but, you know, if there's a gate, we'll have a key. We'll be able to access it from both ways, so we can access utilities. There probably would be some utility relocations if, depending on what they do with that property.
Yeah.
Welcome, Rashad.
Okay. That was on.
Welcome, guys. How are you? How you doing? Happy Tuesday.
Very good. Well, we just finished up the financial update, leadership team template, and strategic plan update. If you have any questions or comments on those three, we'll discuss them
I
now.
do not. Yeah, I don't have any questions.
All right. All that being said, if there's no other questions or comments, move on to the CMEC update, which is myself. There's a lot going on tonight. Thankfully, we had a short CMEC report. So, the CMEC board met on March 28th. For February, the Henry Hub gas price was $1.74 per decatherm, $1.89 lower than budget. The Algonquin Citygate price was $3.14 per decatherm. It was $12.44 below budget. I don't know how they can sell gas at that price and make money, but they're doing it, which is good for us. We're good for electricity prices. Member residual energy cost for February was budgeted at $91.90. The actuals came in at 77.21 cents, and the LMPs, as usual, are significantly lower because of that low gas price. LMPs came in at $36.77. I had spoken several months back that the CMEX CEO, David Meisinger, is doing his level best to turn several of our underperforming projects from lemons into lemonade. And during executive session, and I can't talk about details, obviously, but CMEC announced a settlement with one vendor for one of the projects. And if it goes through the way it was discussed in executive session, it would result in a net present value savings to CMEC members projected in the tens of millions of dollars. So that's really good news for CMEC and for ourselves. And a very good job by CMEC and David Meisinger getting that all done. So good news there. So that's all I had. Any questions on the CMEC update?
You know, I heard at a meeting that the price of gas is going up. They, you know.
No, neither. Yes.
Natural gas.
No.
No.
And when it does go, we. And yeah, and before it does, we'll have more conversations. We'll talk about, if we have to, do any adjustments to BGA, but, the rates will be going up in November, which we already had pre-approved after the next 3 years.
They just said that the natural gas prices.
Now, no change to that. Elsewhere.
Yeah, let me know.
Yeah, we met with the head of school, Nate, Nate was out about what, 2 months ago?
Yeah.
It was still kind of cold, so maybe 3 months ago. Went through his projections for the whole year, told him there was no changes until November. And if there were any other changes as far as the PGA, we'd have conversations early.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Bill. All right, we had quite a few strategic presentations tonight and several votes, so we'll get into that. We'll start off with the RP3 award, and that's Eric McDermott.
Last time we talked about this was 2021, so
That's right.
here's our plaque, and Eric is going to walk us through the process. And
So tonight, we have the pleasure of sharing that the American Public Power Association once again awarded NPU the designation of reliable public power provider during their engineering and operations conference earlier this month. Known as RP3, this designation recognizes community-owned public power utilities that exhibit operational excellence and demonstrate a utility-wide commitment to the community. Only 271, more than 2,000 public power providers across the country have received this designation, which is good for 3 years. In order to receive the RP3 designation, NPU completed a demanding application over the course of several months, focusing on the areas of reliability, safety, workforce development, and system improvement. Because the topic areas cover every facet of our organization, the application process places demand
incorporate them into the application process. Fortunately, NPU continues to achieve the highest level of recognition as a reliable public power provider.
With the biggest challenge, we've seen this probably in some of previous presentations, the Build America, Buy America. So we are making progress with that. We've identified a number of our materials that do meet the provision. There are some that are still outstanding. Phmsa is working with us to get through those hurdles. But at the start of the line, we're anticipating putting out the project in potentially June, July timeframe with an anticipated start August, September. This particular grant, the 2022 grant, not the one that we awarded yesterday, is about a 2-year project to complete. And the streets at the bottom here, North Main Street, Silent Street, Franklin, Kinley, Rockwell, the whole NFA area. And again, that was for $10 million. So yesterday, we received another check in the amount of $10,900,000. That, the ceremonial check is over there. Bob was there. Of course, a number of people from FU. The check is signed by Senator Blumenthal, Congressman Courtney, some Phmsa people. So it was a pretty nice event. Well received and well attended. Here's a picture of some people. Head of Phmsa is on the left, of course, Senator Courtney and others.
Do we know why it was such an odd amount?
We did. So in 2022, first round of the grant, we applied to do all of our cast iron mains, all 8 and change. They kept the award at $10 million.
Yeah.
So in the subsequent funding year, we applied for the rest. And the application requires you down to $1.
Okay.
So that's basically what it is. And here's just a example of some of the cast iron pipe that we'll be replacing on the left, of course, and then on the state-of-the-art plastic. Check amount was 10.9. Again, they have to go through the whole tier 2 environmental assessment, obtain stormwater permits. Concurrently, while we're doing that, we're trying to implement the 2022 grant. So things are going to get busy in a hurry. This project is anticipated to take about 3 years, but we won't begin most likely until the first one ends. So they'll just piggyback right into each other. And the remaining areas include Laurel Hill, Norristown, there's some cast iron up in Norristown by the 395 interchange. Taft, there's quite a bit of cast iron left, Shipping Street and East Main Street.
Barry, will we do all the work that you're,
We will participate in it, Bill, but it will be contracted out predominantly.
Some of the challenges we have is we got to do quality control. We got to do all the record keeping. And, you know, so we have inspectors that have to work on this. We got to make sure our GIS maps are up to date as we're doing this work. And we also got to make sure that we're not disrupting traffic all over town at the same time. So we will be bringing in extra crews.
and how old is the piping?
Some of it's late 1800s, a lot of it, yeah. Most of it's in the 1910s and 1940s timeframe. And we wouldn't have the capacity to meet this timeline either in-house group that we have.
I see Laurel Hill is one of the areas potentially. Is this going to have any impact on our ability to serve Crested Riverwalk? Should that come to be?
This is just for safety and environmental purposes. So, it'll certainly make the Laurel Hill mains more reliable. And if there's an interconnection down the road, it could help.
We can't use this for any new pipe. And new pipe is needed either from the top of Laurel Hill with the low pressure or from on down two-way with the high pressure.
Other projects on the horizon this season. So Norwich Public Schools, Norwich Public Works support. They've identified a number of areas that they're going to pave this coming season. We try to get ahead of them and repair, replace any services or mains that are less than state of the art. This particular year is just a service renewal project to keep up with their work. So we have about 80 services to renew to support their efforts. We also have some cathodic protection projects. We've got a couple of areas where our gas mains cross our Enbridge transmission mains, and both pipes have electric current for cathodic protection purposes. Well, sometimes they don't interact very well together. So a lot of times the best way to do that is to cut out a piece of steel, put in a piece of plastic. That way, the electric portion of the protection doesn't come into play. We're also going to be supporting Norwich Public Schools for the Greenville School project with the relocated main that goes through their property, which we call Cross Country Run. We're going to move that main on Boswell Avenue. So, we require a bypass and pretty significant effort to get that done. That's a 1950s coated steel pipe. All indications are it's in good shape, but it is needing replacement. Not a bad thing to replace it. We've talked about in the past, we've got new pure regulations that are likely going to come into effect January 1, 2026. So there's going to be abandoned services we're going to have to deal with. We have to design and implement backup power supplies in some of our facilities. And there's a big push to create deficiencies we find in our walking surveys on a more accelerated basis. The LNG tank recoating project is scheduled to occur this year. We want to get the installation project done before we do that. Installation is now done, so should be here. Tank. Got a heater replacement at Georgetown Gate Station, subject to some conversations we're going to have shortly with Enbridge. See if that happens, but that is budgeted in plans this year. We've got a roller replacement project. I'm not sure you can see this, but the gas main sits on rollers that go across the bridge. Well, there's actually a gap between the main and the roller, just movement over years, expansion, contraction, and not actually hitting the rollers anymore. So that's a project we have to undertake to support both top and bottom coordination with the DOT. And our annual walking and mobile surveys, which happen every year. That's it. It's a year.
So what was the diameter of the pipe that they were showing in the picture that was?
6 inch.
Is that the biggest that we have in town?
No, our typical largest is 8 inch, but we have cast iron out on this road at 16 inch, converted from steam or some other use back in the day.
And that was air, compressed air.
Compressed air, that one?
So is this 10 miles of replacement going to be mostly those diameter pipes to be replaced?
8 to 4 is our sweet spot. So side streets will get a 4-inch, the main thoroughfares get an 8-inch, the trunk lines.
What percentage of all of the big pipe, not all the pipe, this is the big pipe, what percentage is being replaced?
Oh, mains in the system, so we have 165 miles total. In our system, we're replacing, 8.5 miles, so.
What is the oldest or the biggest or the most?
It's the ones made of cast iron, and cast iron's a great material, except for where you put two pieces together, call it a joint.
Yeah.
That moves over time and leaks at the joint. Pipe itself is very strong and durable, it's lasted 100 years, it's the joints that leak, typically.
And if you undermine it by digging under it, it tends to crack. So if you don't disturb it, it lasts forever.
Somebody was telling me that the new pipe will actually, who knows if this will happen, but will actually work with hydrogen. That ever comes as a replacement for.
They're studying with blending, inconclusive at the time, but they are studying it.
There's an aspiration planned by Boca Division yesterday.
Yeah. So was there?
Okay, well, thank you, Barry.
Congratulations.
Okay, well, next up is Larry on a sewer plant construction update. Here we go.
Yeah, things continue to progress. Again, that's a view, still another view of the island looking north. We're starting to do some minor excavation out there for the clarifiers. And the shape of that hill, that shape was just going to be about 10 feet higher than what's out there now. We did leave as many mature trees out there as this hill was graded to the limits deep approved to cap a landfill. So that's good. It was left as much as humanly possible out there. And at the end of the day, this will be all grass mowed and maintained. You can't put trees back. You can't have brush grow because the cap has to be a permeable cap. They don't want rainwater getting through the cap, getting into what's underneath, bringing it out into the water. So if you have invasive species, shrubs, trees, they're getting to disturb the cap. So we have to keep it in a grass state. This landfill at some point in time was going to happen with this project. It certainly brought it up to the forefront in Deep's eyes, but they've always known it's landfill not capped properly. So at some point in time, the city of Norwich is going to have to cap this. It's actually serving a big purpose for us to be able to dispose of these soils that are out there on site without having to remediate. So it's serving a pretty big purpose. Yeah, it's a view kind of looking east to the East Branch, and you can see, so the red is a big crane holding up the sheet piles. Just had a pointer. So with the machinery sitting there, they're putting in a big sheet pile wall. It's probably, I think those sheet piles are about 40, 45 feet long. They drive those down, make a circle. The pile driving machine, the auger actually now shows up on site the 29th. They'll be there for several months. So instead of driven piles through the value engineering contractor worked better for him. It's basically a massive drill bit. They'll go down 70, 80, 90 feet to bedrock. As they pull the drill bit out, there's a huge hole at the bottom, injects grout. So they bring the drill bit up. Then the steel cage, which gives it the strength, is taken and simply just pushed back down into the grout. That's how the piles form, as opposed to trying to do a precast pile. Just trying to get those piles onto the island would have been an effort. So that will be happening pretty soon. So that is for clarifiers 3. Kind of a different view. You can see that sheet pile wall. So inside that sheet pile wall, all the piles will be driven down, but not all will have steel. So because the pile, the driver really can't fit inside there. So drive do all the piles has to be done from the outside. So as they excavate all that soil out, that will be probably about 30 feet down, hole in the ground. We'll start building those clarifiers all the way up. That's why that landfill out back is necessary for this project. There's a significant amount of material to be pulled out of these guys. Kind of the same look. This one is important. So you see on the left side, we were actually using that Yantic outfall for 4 days. The chlorine contact chamber. You can see the old admin building. You see the shape of the water that looks like this. That's a chlorine contact chamber. The left side of that next year is going to be going away. To be able to build the new UV system and also the effluent pump station. So they had to reroute the piping from the chlorine contact chamber to tie it into the existing outfall that goes way out to the harbor. So in order to do that, we had to use the outfall on the side. And Dee was well aware of it. It is a permitted outfall, usually when they permitted for heavy rains, but they obviously the project, as long as they knew about it, they were. That's kind of a better view. You can see the like orange excavator to the bottom right of it. You see it. This, I think it's a 10-foot diameter manhole, which was on top of the existing outfall pipe, and they ran new PVC pipe from the foreign contact chamber around to be able to start construction of the next step of the project. That is also, that's so the existing clarifier, that is one big clarifier that's going to remain. It'll get rehabbed. You can see it starting to dig out in the sheet piles for that's clarifier number 2. Next step of the project. So that's about it. I mean, they're making a lot of progress. It's super busy on the site. You can see it right there's all the grass we have left. Is that a piece of pipe? There's a lot going on out there, but they've been so far been a good contractor to work with, very responsive. How it goes.
Haven't run into any kind of problems yet, hitting bedrock or?
No, honestly, no. We haven't hit a single issue. It's been smooth. I mean, there's been some pipes that we didn't see in different locations than what our as-built show, but not surprising. But nothing that has stopped any type of project.
All right.
All right, well, I've got a quick question. You showed the northern part of the island, I think your first picture. First of all, there's a little bit of nostalgia there for me, because in the 70s, I used to run there.
Yeah.
And it was great, it was grass, and there was a track, and it was amazing, but, and I used to be able to run, but we've talked about the potential of doing a solar farm on that property, but you also said that, well, it's not correctly capped, and so it may have to be capped again.
No, it's getting capped as gets concluded in this project.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's absolutely getting capped. That's, that's
Okay.
part of our deep permit. It wasn't, before we touched it, it was not capped per deep standards.
So those things aren't in conflict, they're in concert.
Yes, yes. So we benefited from this.
All right.
Because if that was capped years ago, we would have no place to put our spoils in the contaminated soil. That would have been incredibly expensive. So we did benefit from it. Not capped.
And then in 4 to 5 years, we can look at the economics and see if a ballasted solar field makes sense on the top. That is something that can be put in that type of environment.
Can you hit escape on the keyboard for me? Thank you so much. No, it's fine. I just like, for whatever reason.
All right, thank you, Larry. All right, now the winter moratorium update, Ruth Swift. Oh, Ruth.
Okay. You driving or she need keyboards?
Can you pass me the keyboard? Sorry, thank you. Too many things. Sorry. Thank you. Okay, good evening. So where are we next week? Is that time again?
Okay, so the moratorium coming to an end on May 1st. It covers November 1st through May 1st. The qualifications, Social Security, unemployment, any kind of assistance, city or state, there's a serious illness in the home, and their income level. Their income level is qualified through TVCCA. That helps them get the customers in their system. So hopefully they can get some more assistance as well as being put in the moratorium. So this is just a graph of the number of customers that we've had on hardship. You can see it went up when we had the pandemic, and the reason why it stayed up is the heat source. Previously, TVCCA only reported to us the heat source that would be utilities, gas or electric. The last couple of years, they've also been sending customers that are heating with alternate sources, oil, wood, kerosene, that type of thing. So we've got those customers also voted for hardship for the winter. They are receiving the assistance, just not coming to us.
I'm confused. Somebody heats with oil, for example, they qualify for hardship. We're paying them something,
No.
or what?
No, they qualify for hardship for the moratorium,
Yep.
so that they're not terminated for non-payment. between
Oh,
November.
okay.
So we're not getting the TVCCA money, anything like that, for energy assistance. We have, though, in the last couple of years, which will be on a couple of slides down, received additional funding. Any supplemental payments the state has had, they have included the alternate fuel sources as well. So if somebody's heating with kerosene, we have gotten some money for their utility bill as well. So our process for the moratorium, the end termination notices are mailed out. They have 13 days before the termination is scheduled. To stop the termination, we need a 20% payment of the balance and an arrangement for monthly payments after that. Termination is always the last resort. We want to work with customers first to get them restored or to avoid termination. We offer multiple payment arrangements in the course of the year. And we also have the matching payment program. The winter credits are applied for May 1st. So that helps to lower your bill. We mail the termination notices out year round for non-hardship customers. It's just the moratorium covers the hardship customers. Special payment arrangements. Our goal is to have balances paid within 12 months. Sometimes we'll need to extend it further than that, depending on what the customer's balance is. We have 295 customers right now on special payment arrangements, and their past due balances right now total just under $400,000. So just a graph showing the special payment arrangements. More pandemic timeframe, we had a lot of customers that needed to be on payment arrangements, and that has continually come down. We're back to where we were pre-pandemic. And same thing shown here with the amount of money. We're coming back down to where we were previously. There's a lot of money out there for the pandemic as well, so that helped a lot of our customers. Our matching payment program, it's an arrearage forgiveness program. The qualifications are you must be a heating customer with us, gas or electric, qualify for energy assistance, and have a past due balance. We credited $210,000 this past year for 133 customers. So basically $210,000 that we may not have gotten paid if they weren't enrolled in this program. For the coming year, we have 214 customers enrolled. It starts November 1st. So Operation Fuel. We are considered a fuel bank for Operation Fuel. We did that a few years back. Norwich Human Services had previously done that. They had lost quite a bit of staff. We're not able to continue to do this, so we stepped up and decided to become a fuel bank to help our customers. We have 2 CSRs that are trained to submit the applications for Operation Fuel. And in the past year, we received just under $30,000 for 57 customers. Typical award from Operation Fuel is $500. Wow. So, yeah. Energy assistance. So we have a TVCCA representative that works out of our office. September through May is typically when we have somebody there. They assist with taking the applications for our customers. It's a lot easier to access us than it is them. They're around 32. They are on bus line. However, some of the customers from Greenville, they can just walk right here. The average cost to us is about $35,000 to have somebody here to take the applications. Last year, we received $1.7 million to assist 2,800 customers. So it's well worth the $35,000 that we invest in that. So the TVCCA amounts that we have received, again, during the pandemic, there was a lot more money out there. So that's why we had that big jump of over $2.5 million. We're back down to our averages, $1.5 million that we get yearly from TVCCA. And the number of participants, as you can see, has jumped up. That is because we have gotten supplemental money from energy assistance for the other fuel sources, not just gas or electric. And our community assistance rate. So that's available for the customers that have an income of 60% of the state median. We had anticipated about 3,000 customers would be eligible for it. We currently have just under 2,000 customers enrolled. 152 of those also are getting the additional 10% discount for being enrolled in auto pay. And TDCCA determines the eligibility for us so that we're not getting involved in anybody's income. And they send the file to us and we approve that file. And both discounts are for 1,000 kilowatt hours up to the first 1,000 kilowatt hours. And the goal is to hopefully promote conservation and to reduce our uncollectibles and non-payments. Finally, the agencies that we work with throughout the area to assist our customers. So, are there any questions?
Not so much a question, but, I'm really glad that we're doing these assistance programs. I don't know, how it relates to the homelessness numbers, but, you wonder, not paying a utility bill could be the straw that breaks the camel's back and somebody or family, loses their home,
Yeah, I'm also a member of the Emergency Food and Shelter Board that United Way runs. And there are many members of that board that take care of homelessness, or avoiding homelessness, food pantries, that type of thing. Jill from St. Vincent de Paul is also on that board. So there is a lot of effort into avoiding homelessness. And if it should happen, trying to get people rehomed.
Do you feel that in this area that it's not getting any worse or it's getting a little better?
I think it's about the same as what it has been.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a depressed area. The jobs that are out there aren't paying as well as what they would need to actually stay in a home. So that's really the biggest thing is they have the Alice report that comes out and it's basically the working poor.
I haven't seen like homeless encampments in the area, but maybe I just don't know where to look.
There's
Yeah.
much as ever.
There are some.
Yes, absolutely. Because we talked to
Yeah.
Jill at the, at St. Vincent de Paul, right here in Norwich. She can let you know, they know exactly where they are, as well as Kate Moody over at Norwich Human Services. They track how many are in town.
Oh, I know my wife volunteered for 20 years with the weekend soup kitchen put on by the Tri-Parish group
Yeah.
there. That was pretty good. They do a lot of, just for the days when St. Vincent de Paul was closed, that they were filling the gap.
Mm-hmm.
And that seemed to be pretty well.
Got a team here, a lot in our accounting department, a lot in customer service, who are routinely providing sandwiches for St. Vincent de Paul. And that gives some of these families additional meals when they can't be at the food banks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Ruth. Thank you, all right. All right, that brings us to the lead and copper agreement amendment, and that's Larry and Chris.
All right, so you're gonna see 4 different resolutions, 3 amended and 1 new. And it's not a surprise, we planned projects many years ago, but the costs have increased. And Larry's gonna go into a little on why the scope, at least on one of these, has significantly increased. So Larry?
You want me to pull that up?
Yeah.
The full amendment, I'm sorry. Give me 1 second.
It's in the P word.
The lead and copper.
He's got a presentation.
Sorry, I thought you meant the actual.
No, the presentation.
right in 3M.
I can't see, I'm sorry.
Keep going
Which one
down.
is it called?
Water project. More down. There it is.
There you go.
Yeah,
Thank
there.
you, sorry, I couldn't see, I got it glare right
Yeah,
there.
oh, sure, yeah.
Sorry.
Still before it's smoking, you just go to the last slide, I'll just start with lead copper.
Oh, actually, you know what? We can go on board rep.
Does it make a difference? Okay.
Yeah.
Next slide, some more slides.
I'm gonna pass you the picture so that you can drive. That's okay. Okay. Great. Can you see?
Like as Chris mentioned, 3 of the ordinances are in place now. 2 of them both involve, I'll just do it real quick, two aeration systems for both the Richard Brown tank and the business park tank. We put those costs together early, almost 21 into 22, and what we've seen with construction, increase in construction costs, and material costs, we felt it was about the right time to just kind of bounce those up just a little bit, just to cover our bases with the city. It wasn't a lot of money, $2,000. We were very comfortable that even 1.8 was still enough, but just having the 2 million in there makes a little more sense. You just don't know. We were hoping to bid both of these projects together for a better price. They said no. So, but we'll still advertise at the same time, but we still get the same contractor. Maybe we'll get a better price and have them kind of do both tanks at the same time. So,
We're responsible for the difference.
what's that?
We're responsible for the difference, right?
No, like I said, it's still 30, we think it's still 30% grant, 70% loan. It's just, the price, the bids come in a little bit high, and we would be able to award it to be back to the city council. So we just want to make sure it was a little heavier prior to going out to bid. Like I said, the Richard Brown tank, 80 foot tall. See, when these tanks were designed back in the 90s or even earlier, THM, disinfectant byproducts were never part of the conversation. They were fire protection. But when you have these big reservoirs of water gets old, they don't drain as much as they should. So now we have to do something to keep the water fresh. Like I said, for both tanks, they need literally the exact same timeline. We have selected engineering consultant through a competitive process. The contractor thing is being reviewed by DPH, and once that's reviewed, we'd like to get these designed in the fall, maybe construction in early 25, depending on the weather. So we'd like to spring of 25 makes the most sense to get these aerations that makes existence. The new one is the Boswell Utility Bridge and Water Main. We applied for this a couple of years ago. This is just kind of a location map, and you should kind of be familiar with the site. This is the Fitchville Dam. Oh, I put it on the screen.
It's touch.
That's
Sorry.
So Fitchville Dam, Home Touch, is right here. That's with all the issues through the rainstorm. Our utility bridge is off the side of the DOT bridge. It's a standalone structure, supports just our water main. There's been multiple, DOT inspects that because it shares the abutment, the DOT bridge with a standalone structure. And we've gotten inspection reports from 35 years, and they ramped them up, and each report has gotten less friendly. So we knew it was time to actually do something. The bridge can be saved, which is a good thing. I'll kind of get into, there's some pictures, you can see some pictures in the recent inspection. It's really the bottom plane is from years of road salt being dumped onto the steel structure. There's kind of a cross section, it's our 30-inch main, and there's kind of this box girder bridge. The bridge abutments need a little bit of work, that's what DOT is concerned about. But at the same time, the abutments and will repair the bridge at the same time. It's in the tough spot, it's directly underneath the really high voltage lines, Boswell Light Power. So the good news is, and save the bridge. So they basically put up temporary members, remove those, rehab, and
Is the DOT will work on the bridge also at the same time? Or no?
no, they won't. No, their bridge is in decent shape. Ours is not so great. So ours isn't so great, but in the pipe is not leaking. What we did do, and I'm glad we got the information when we first did the initial engineering steps, we got a surveyor at every joint. Take shots in the top of the pipe, put a little X in the top of the pipe, so we go back and keep checking those elevations, because each one of those joints has a little leak in it. And they're lead joints, but they are clamp systems that repair those joints once we re-level the pipe. But after what happened with the flooding, we were concerned the survey went back out and actually nothing changed. So felt a lot better about bridge project, but it still needs to be repaired.
So if part of the deterioration is road salt.
Yeah.
Has the DOT decided to help pay for it?
That's a good question. That's a hard no from them. That's a hard. We can't. No, they will not. DPH, it was a little bit of DPH funded it, then took it away. I actually thought this, well, you gotta go to DOT, but it's not DOT bridge, it's a separate, so once you prove it was a separate standalone structure. Which is good news, so, that is the new resolution that is in front of, the board this evening. We feel very comfortable with the 2.9 million that will include design, construction, oversight, legal costs. But it's about, the bridge is about 100 feet long, and we'll calculate each unit.
You gonna save the steel here, the rust, or is that gonna get replaced?
That will be replaced. It's basically, we put sister beams up along.
Yeah.
Tape goes down, put beams back up. It's a tricky spot, it's pretty high in the air. It's a pretty good drop down before the floods. It's probably 20, 25 feet down from the bottom of that, down to the ground bank.
That's a 30-inch pipe.
30.
Main transmission main from Deep River.
Deeper.
So it's 1910 or what?
The pipe is stamped 1929 French cast iron. It's actually a stamp on, it, but if you think it was installed in the 30s. It's still in good shape, so that part is in good shape. And what we mentioned about lead and copper, so this is kind of an interesting story. So the current ordinance was $500,000 just for the planning aspect to prove by October of this year what we have in our system. Get rid of the unknowns. What do you know about your system? We thought that was enough, but we found out there's been some major inconsistencies in our data from what we thought the customer had to what the customer actually has. So the inventory in 2022 was 12,800 service connections. We knew we had in a city owned 4 lead service lines. But we also we thought there was roughly 1,200 customer owned lead lines with 5,000. DPH knows that's a massive undertaking, and they use what they call a predictive model. And it's based on here's your current information, the age of the house, all these different demographics to assume what type of pipe you may or might not have. The results of that model were, you have 300 services, we need to check those out. We have 400 assumed lead, almost 600 high likelihood. So the model ranks the areas to look at that. So in 2023, Arcadis, our engineering, this is kind of what their area of expertise. We went into 420 tier 1 homes. So there's single family homes that the DPH will focus on. 416 homes that we went into were not lead. So here we are. So DPH understands. So the next step, they want to continue to let us to try to use this model. So with DPH, we're going to now take, we need additional money to field verify 340 unknown service lines. They said 170 have to be visually inspected. The other 160, they're asking for an excavation, vacuum excavation, on both sides of the curb box, our side, so to see what we actually have. So that's kind of where we are. We had to take basically money out of construction to move it into the investigation. At the end of the day, it's a good story that the lines are replaced. Sad story is going to keep what we do have. So there's always work to be done. At the end of the day, it is just proving what we don't have, maybe cheaper than our future structure.
And this deadline of fall is coming up quick.
Okay.
The goal is to get rid of all the pipes.
Yes, yeah, I have lead and galvanized. Galvanized is pretty difficult. We have to find out what we actually have.
The working cost is not our biggest bill.
True. I think that's it. Otherwise, any questions on those 4? Because you said three existing and 1.
Okay, thanks. Any questions? Okay, thanks, Larry. Appreciate it. And that brings us to the budget discussion, which is Laura.
And we have the entire staff here to answer any questions on any specific items that you may have questions on.
Have a very, very brief, extremely brief step slide here. But last meeting, next slide, please. It's 4 whole slides, so you got this under control. So at the last board meeting, we went through the budget summary. And our budget is reflective of the cost necessary to meet the priorities of proactive investment, continue to implement and support economic development, meeting and exceeding local, state, and federal regulatory requirements, exceeding customer expectations, and deploying technology for the benefit of everyone in the city. We had our budget presentation earlier this year for all 4 divisions to the Finance and Audit Committee meeting in January 30th and February 6th. We provided the board with the draft proposed budget March 6th, and we did the in-depth presentation on the 26th. Next slide, please. We reviewed in detail the budget. I just wanted to bring this slide back up again. Just talking that we have over $100 million budget in revenues, 105 in expenses. This year, we are on the largest payment to the city that we've ever had in our history. So a lot of significant things in this budget, a lot of infrastructure investment. Next slide, please. And we're looking for the board to consider a vote on this budget for tonight. It will then be, once approved, submitted to the city for inclusion in the comprehensive city budget. That will go to city council in June. Are there any questions on the budget as presented?
Well, where in the budget are these really sweet chairs located?
Those 3 chairs would be in the 2024 financial report because we paid for those this year. And Mary Lou can get you all the detail on it because she coordinated all those nice chairs. They are very nice. Considering the age of the previous chairs, we're all very excited to have chairs that we can actually sit in.
Comfortable and match.
Because some people they don't fall over, so.
Right.
Just a quick question. I was looking over the financials information. It looks like we paid down the pension obligation loan about $1.6 million or something like that within a year. So,
Yeah, those payments happen in July of every year. We make
So
one
that's-
very large payment to the city.
so we have that debt in lieu of being underfunded on pensions. So the pension funding is now full.
It's not 100%, and that's gonna vary based on market performance and other such things that are actuarial calculated. If you want more in-depth analysis on that, I would recommend that we maybe put that on the FNA as a meeting or follow up with the city, since they are the driver behind
We
that.
can go over that at a board of finance. committee.
Sure.
You know, I'm not asking for, but, I mean, just roughly, is it 5% funded or 90%?
It was just shy of 80 at the last report.
Even after this money was put into it?
And the last report was prior to. So we get a report once a year from the actuaries, and that is over the summer period. So that would have been the report.
But even after we borrowed the 50-something
Yes.
million,
Yeah, that would have been through
Still,
about 2023.
that got us to around 80%.
Yes, which from the auditor's perspective is, that's the mark that they're looking for. They're looking for that 80%.
Thank you.
Where did brief the city council on this, right?
Chris presented to the city council early April.
Yes.
Are there any major questions or concerns about
I'm very, very complimentary as the organization, happy about the payment to the city and all the other services, right, the city. And few questions on projects, but nothing of concern on the budget.
Was there any public comment at that meeting?
There were very few people in public and there was no public comment. The school board followed us. I did not stay for that. I was there for Otis Library and Otis Library is very complimentary. I did not stay for this.
All right. Are there any questions or comments for Laura or anyone here related to the budget? All right. Thank you, Laura. All right, well, that ends our strategic presentation for this evening. And from those presentations, we have 4 votes or actions coming out of all that.
Actually, 5.
I'm sorry, 5.
Just 2 days.
Thank you. Okay, all right. So we have 5 actions we have to vote on. And I will ask for a motion for each one of them. Ready? So we'll start off with the fiscal year 25 NPU budget. For the presentation, we've sat through 2 meetings now talking about it. So if there's,
Make a motion to approve.
if there's I'll entertain a motion. Thank you, Michael. Well, do I have a second? Thank you.
Second.
Everyone provided a second. Seven seconds. Are there any questions?
It was positive.
Are there any questions on the motion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed,
Aye.
all those opposed say nay. Are there any abstentions? All right, congratulations. The motion carries. The FY 25 budget is approved by the board.
Thank you. That's the most important thing the board does every year, and I really appreciate the confidence.
Easier every year. Right. Okay, next would be the lead and copper agreement amendment that Larry discussed. I will entertain a motion. Thank you, Bill.
One second.
Second by Michael. Are there any questions or comments on the motion to increase the funding for the lead and copper agreement amendment?
Looked like the funding, grants and stuff we got were very adequate. I'm not an expert on it, but it seemed to be covering the bulk of the cost, which I was impressed.
The highest grant percentages we've ever received.
It looked good.
And it's been a really good year for that, especially lead and copper.
Congratulations.
All right, I get a first and a second? On that, okay, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we did.
I'm sorry. We did, okay.
Yeah.
All those, if there's no questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Are there any abstentions? All right, that motion carries. Very well. Moving on, we have two tanks. We'll start with the Stanley Israelite Business Park Tank Amendment Resolution. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Michael.
Pass.
We have a second.
Second.
Robert, go ahead. I have a Sean and a second. Go. All right, the first and the second. Are there any questions or comments on the motion for the Stanley Israelite Business Park Tank Amendment Resolution? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. For Sean's aye come in. All right. All those.
I said aye. Sorry, no extensions here.
Are there any abstentions? All right, the motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to the Richard Brown Tank Amendment Resolution. I will entertain a motion to increase funding for the Richard Brown Tank Amendment Resolution.
Make a motion to pass the resolution.
Thank you, Michael. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Robert. All right. If there's any questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Aye.
Are there any abstentions? All right, the motion carries. And last but not least, the Bosworth Bridge Water and Main Repair Resolution. I will entertain a motion. All right, thank you, Bill. I have a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Robert. We have a first and a second. Is there any questions or comments on the motion? Increase funding for the Bosworth Bridge Water and Tank Repair Resolution. All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Are there any abstentions? All right, the motion carries. 5 in a row. Holy cow. Very well.
Chris, do we have to pass, do a vote on the resolution for the North Main Street People's Line?
Yeah. So on all these resolutions that you just passed, I have to bring them forward to the city council. It's tentatively scheduled for May 6th. And all the amended resolutions have already gone to the commission on the city plan because it's only changing the funding amount and not the project design and scope. I don't have to go forward on that. On the new project, which is the bridge replacement, that one there does need to go to the commission on the city plan. We'll schedule that after the first reading at the city council meeting on May 6th, and then we'll probably get that one approved in June.
Does that go through?
Goes through March.
Even though it's
Because is this, is it work for our infrastructure? There's some legal question whether it's a requirement for Norwich, but the safe thing is, we have done it in the past, is to get it through the Commission City Plan. If you look at the Commission City Plan, all of our projects that we're talking about are for improving infrastructure. That's a key thing on the plan of conservation.
You know, this is a little picky, but I'll bring it up just for consistency purposes. So Greenville is always spelled, sometimes spelled with the E after the N. What is the correct E? Grevene. Okay. Because it doesn't have an E in the resolution for the North Main. Because I saw the sign out here, is
The guy who's, it's named after, he spelled his last name Green with an E again.
yeah, and so the sign out front here, welcome to Greenville, is with an E. I looked at the USGS topographic map today, and it's without an E. So
it's consistently inconsistent.
So let it keep
All
going.
right. So we have Val Kent, is the person who is the one who handles all our resolutions, and maybe we can make a motion to amend the resolution to include the correct spelling, and then we can work with bond council to get it correct.
whatever. I just, you know, I see it sometimes with an E, sometimes without an E, but that sounds good, Chris.
I hope the IRS never hires you using one of that.
But you could use them on the accounting side.
That's what counts in education.
I guess.
All righty, thank you, Bill. That brings us to executive session. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
All right.
Okay, I'll make a motion to go into executive
Thank you,
session.
Michael. All right, second from Robert. All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. All right, we're in executive session. Chris, who would you like to stay behind?
We're gonna have quite a few here today. Jeff, Steve, and Chris Riley, Simone, Laura, Mary Lou, Eric, and Dave.
Right,
Just the legal.
here we go. All right.
It's probably not gonna be a lot of input there. Your call.
In case they want to look at it.
All right. I have to state while the microphone's still on, Simone.
It is, yep.
Okay, that we're going into executive session to discuss confidential trade secrets and commercially valuable confidential proprietary information not subject to inspection or public disclosure pursuant to section 1, 210(5) and 7 TAC 232A of the Connecticut General Statutes. Information is commercially valuable, confidential, proprietary, not subject to public disclosure pursuant to Public Act 98-212, and also to discuss personnel matters of an employee or employees and or public official pursuant to chapter 14, section 1, 206A, Connecticut General Statutes. And with that, we're in executive session.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it right now.